Hello, everyone. This is Greg Gilpin, and I am doing a series of interviews with different people. I began with music educators, but I'm branching out to lots of people in our industry. And I just want to bring ideas and suggestions for remote teaching to teachers who are struggling with ideas at this time. And some of this are my interviews where you can show up with your students. It's a very positive platform, and it's simply really to reach out and to help each other. Okay, so today I am thrilled and honored and just a tad nervous to have the award-winning, the one and only soprano opera diva, Angela Brown. There she is, everybody. Her accomplishments are many, and they are included. I'm going to list just a few. They are including, she's a featured artist on the two-time Grammy Award-winning recording, Ask Your Mama, and you need to check that out. It's pretty fabulous. And we're going to talk about this. She made her Metropolitan Opera debut in the title role of Aida, where the New York Times said, "At last, an Aida." Now that's something, Angela, when they do that. So yeah, don't talk yet. Here we go. So she's been on the cover and written in countless magazines. That list goes a long time, and she's done a ton of collaborations with different composers, producers, actors, and she's obviously been in symphony orchestras all across the world, performing opera and other. One of her recordings that I want you to know about, if you don't know about it, is Mosaic, and it is filled with African-American spirituals, which I love. And on a side note, Angela, my favorite on that is the Every Time I Feel the Spirit. I know it's the first one, but I've heard the whole album. Okay. But I love it because of the rhythmic guitar and the different chords. It's very cool, everybody. It was very inspiring. I love that. And best of all, everyone, I am lucky because Angela lives right here in Indianapolis. And she has hosted the Indianapolis Symphony's Yuletide celebration, I don't know, three times, four times, three times. And I used to be in it, not hosting, I was in the background, but I think the first year you hosted, it was the year after I quit doing it. I did it for over a decade. And I went, okay, I'm tired. And I think it was the very next year that you hosted, and I went and saw it. Of course, she was fabulous. But really, Angela and I met at a mutual friend's house. And I think probably we connected because we're both working musicians. So we were like that. So I can go on and on, but I want Angela to talk. Please welcome Ms. Angela Brown.
Hi, everyone. Glad to be here with you, Mr. Greg.
You are a ray of sunshine right there. I love it.
Thank you.
I love it. Thank you for doing this. And I know music educators and young singers, they're going to get so much out of this. At least I hope. That's the goal. So
I'll give you what I got.
All right. Now, your career highlights in opera, as well as other endeavors, as long as I said, what would you like share one of your favorite moments or favorite of all the things maybe that happened that jump out in your mind first?
Ooh, well, the first thing that jumps out in my mind is, of course, my opportunity to do my debut at the Metropolitan Opera. A lot of people say, "Oh, where did she come from? She's an overnight sensation." 20 years in the making, okay?
Exactly.
There are no overnight sensations, as you and I know.
Yep.
So, but that was a very exciting experience for me. I started out actually covering the role of Aida at the Met. And then a couple of years later, I had an opportunity after I had sung in a rehearsal for an ailing colleague. I had the opportunity to do the Sitzprobe, okay, which is the orchestral first reading of the score with the singers. And from that day, I received a contract to do 16 Aidas and as a cover, but I had two of them to be my debut. So that was October 29th, 2000, no, 4. Yeah, October
Okay.
29th, 2004, that I made my Metropolitan Opera debut. And you had already mentioned that I landed on the front page of the New York Times. A lot of times they want to take that story because during my time as a cover, I had to use my cover to jump in again for an ailing soprano at the 4th act of Aida. It was amazing. I am not going to lie. It was a heady time and I was in good voice. And I did a good job to cover, but only the 4th act. A lot of people want to say that's when she was discovered and she got the front page of the New York Times. No, no. It was because of my debut, but that all kind of butted up against each other. It was all at the same time. So it
Right.
gets whirled in. But that is one of the most exciting things. But I have many more I could tell you about, but we only got 20 minutes.
That's okay. I just think the idea of when you got the job as covering would be huge too. It'd be like, oh my gosh, this is my step in, because that's how that works.
That's how it works. And if you can cover at the Met, you are singing those roles on the stages of the world. And that's what was happening to me at that time. And covering at the Metropolitan Opera is not a poo-poo feat. You may as well say you've sung it, just maybe not on that stage.
Right, exactly. Wow, I know. I conducted different places, and one of them is Carnegie Hall. And I remember my first, actual stepping out on the stage at the concert. I could barely walk through the orchestra. What was your feeling? How did you feel?
Okay. My very first time singing on that stage was when I actually stepped in for that soprano before I did my debut.
Okay.
So I had to go downstairs because as a cover at the Metropolitan Opera, you don't get to practice on that stage. You
Right.
practice on sea level, in the orchestral rooms, or you practicing up in one of the other rehearsal rooms, but you never get a chance to practice on the stage. So my first time actually stepping out was when I was in the elevator. Okay, there's an elevator you have to go down in and get on, and it comes up through the stage. Now, this is the old production, now the old production of Aida, because it's been retired. And you're in an elevator, and that's actually the tomb that Maes has been put in, and Aida had been waiting in. So the first time to come up in that elevator, and then to find your dim light, because we're all taught to find our and so to find that light, and then to wonder if your voice is going to go out over the orchestra, over the footlights, into the cavernous Metropolitan Opera. I mean, it's like, so all I could do was just depend on my breathing, on my support, on my training.
Yeah.
And watch the conductor with the laser beams and hold on to Maes.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I was there with you. Wow. Oh, that's awesome. What are there other roles that you've enjoyed that stand out that you love?
Oh yes, honey. Me and Miss Tosca, we have a time, baby. I love peeling the onion of Tosca because Tosca is an opera diva like myself. And she is in love with Cavaradossi, who is a freedom fighter painter on the side. And she is secretly admired by Scarpia. Baby, she's got so much going on through the night between jealousy and trying to be overt, trying not to give away secrets from her lover, and then fighting for her lover's life, and then actually murdering somebody, and then jumping at the end, baby.
That's why opera is so great, right? You get to do it all.
Do it all.
You get to do it all. That's awesome.
Enjoyed it. Let's put it that way.
Now, do you enjoy other styles of singing, other than opera? I know that a lot of very young, beginning opera people won't do anything else because they don't want to lose that voice. Do you do, as your career has lengthened, do you do other styles?
Good question. I started out here in Indianapolis doing a lot of musical theater, gospel. I did a little R&B. I dabbled a little bit with blues and jazz. I did it all. And what I tell young people is to keep snatches of all of that because it makes up who you are. Put them in your pocket because you never know when you're going to have to pull them out for a gala performance, for a dinner party, for whatever that
For
this
money.
for my, can we say that again, Chairman?
Money.
For money. You have to be versatile in this. So, but I will say, if you are afraid of losing your position and all of that, stay in your lane for a while until
Mhm,
you can broaden. Stay in the
mhm,
one lane until you can go to a two lane. Then you go to a
mhm,
four lane. Then you'll go to a mega highway because I
mhm.
can be a mega highway now, honey. I'm trying to
Yeah.
make it. No, okay. So, but yeah, I have enjoyed singing a lot of different genres of music in
Great.
my career.
Well, and you touched on how you grew up a little bit. Is there anything else you want to share about your growing up and just finding the love of what you do? How you discovered that.
Well, I grew up here in Indianapolis, Indiana. My mother was a singer as well. They thought at that time she would be the next Marian Anderson because that's who they could compare her to in
Okay.
the '60s. And she was a soprano. My mother's name was Freddie Mae Brown, and my father's name was Walter C. Brown. So I always like to give homage to them. And my mother was a PK, a pastor's kid. So I grew up in my grandfather's Baptist church, Mount Calvary Baptist Church here in Indianapolis, and I would sing for him all the time. And that's where I got my beginnings at 5 years old, singing "You Can't Beat God's Given," no matter how you try, for offering every Sunday. And, and then I went on to start doing a lot of musical theater here in Indianapolis at Crispus Attucks High School. And then from high school, because I did things even before high school, I would sing for the Indiana Black Expo. And
Mhm.
whenever there was an envelope opening,
Yep.
Angela was singing,
Yep.
okay?
Yep.
And so I just did everything. I did a lot of community theater here too, at Civic Theater, and won a lot of Civvy Awards and Encore Awards. And then it just branched out. I went to Oakwood University in Huntsville, Alabama, where my teacher, Ginger Beasley, took her studio to Indiana University to
Mm.
study with Virginia Zayani. And from that point, getting my grooming from the author and the finisher of my voice, I went on and started doing things in the world. I
Okay.
just kept my nose to the grindstone. As I like to say, I was too stupid to stop.
Hey, no, no, that's what youth. I mean, we do lots of things when you're young because you don't know any better, so you just do it. And I always tell young people, say yes, try it. This is the time to try things and find out where your voice is and what your love is and all of that. Go ahead
That's
and tell us where did you go to school? All the your educational background again, just everybody knows.
I went to Oakwood University in Huntsville, Alabama. That's known now for the illustrious World Choir Olympic winners, the Aeolians. Have you heard of the Aeolians?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yes. So I was a part of that group, but back in the day.
Hmm.
And then I went on to Indiana University, where I studied with Virginia Zayani, as I said before. And then from there, I went to the world
Yeah. Great.
and got a lot of on-the-job training.
Yeah, well, that's what we get. Yeah, that's what you get. All right. Now I mentioned Mosaic with the African American spirituals. Would you like to talk about the African American voice? My experience, because I hear kids all the time, it's a different voice. It is a different voice. To me, and I think what is it? What is it that you, if as a teacher, put your teaching hat on? Is there any differences in teaching and what? Or am I way off base?
I don't know.
Okay.
If you're way off base. I have heard these same things as well, but I try to approach voices as I get them,
Okay.
regardless of what color they're housed in.
Right.
It doesn't matter to me. It's about the timbre of your voice, what your voice sounds like in your body, what your armature will make your voice sound like. So if I were to go into a teaching situation and I see an African American or a Black student in front of me, and I go, ah, already I'm prejudicing my mind about what they should sound like and
Okay.
what they should be able to do. Even if I have a white student in front of me and I go, oh, I know what their voice is supposed to sound. I try not to go in with any preconceived notions, even though, of course, I've heard the differences, but I try to approach each student as they come. And I teach from that aspect. I teach good, healthy breathing. I teach good, healthy support, because that, to me, is one of the things that is most lacking in a lot of young singers that I hear today. Because when you're in a school situation, it's about producing. You got those juries to get that music learned. You got to learn how to be a musician. Okay. So then you don't get to really woodshed and think about everything that makes up the singer. So some things get lost in the cracks, and breathing is sometimes one of them. And it needs to be the most important thing that is concentrated on.
I agree. When I'm working, I work with choirs, and that's the number one thing is I'm working with breathing. I get all these cats together in the room and I'm herding them together from different schools,
Yeah.
and all of them don't know how to breathe. You have to get air. That's
Yeah.
really wonderful. And thank you for that. I saw an interview with Audra McDonald, and she was talking about when she enters a room and they say, well, you're Black, you must sing gospel really well. Could we hear your gospel voice? And that type of thing. And she said, you know what? I can do all those things. Just don't assume that I can do those things. And I
Hello.
went ding, 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 ding. That's great. Don't assume anything.
Girl, I got a couple of good girlfriends that can sing some classical music, but baby, you throw a spiritual up in front of them, and they not even gospel, because there is a difference between spirituals and gospel
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
They couldn't even sing a spiritual. Okay.
Okay.
So just
Yeah.
don't assume just
Yeah.
because of what I'm housed in.
That was my big takeaway. Don't assume. That was awesome. What do you, are there any favorite people you've worked with?
Oh, as far as on the singing stage.
Yeah.
I loved working with Greg Baker.
Okay.
Greg Baker is a baritone that was well known in the 80s, 90s, 2000s. And he is who I called my stage daddy. He just taught me so much, and being around a professional that had seen so much and done so much and been under so many different batons, I just looked up to him as my daddy in opera. And that's one of my favorite persons to have worked with in this business.
Oh, that's great.
Look him up, Greg Baker.
Greg Baker. Do you stay in touch, or is it one of those? Yeah.
Am I? I'm hoping actually to get in touch with him this afternoon.
Oh, that's nice. I'm looking him up. Yeah, gonna look him up. Yeah, definitely. Well, this is the question I get asked a lot. What do you enjoy listening to for pleasure?
Ooh, my husband is in one of his former lives, he was a DJ. And so I get the pleasure of hearing him mix the vinyls and doing all the scratching and stuff here at home while he's practicing doing all these different things. But I love some old R&B. I love some R&B because that's what I grew up with. My mother would take us, well, first of all, on Saturday mornings, we would clean the house to her music. So I was hearing some barefooting, barefooting, all through the house. And then she would take us to see musicals at Starlight Musical here in Indianapolis, and we would always end the day with a Sam's Subway. Those are all old memories. But yeah, so I would say R&B is
Okay.
one of my favorite things to listen to.
Oh, that's great. Awesome. Well, as you know, as we all know, the music world is at a standstill. I
Mhm.
mean, we are at a standstill during the pandemic. I know you've been doing some virtual performing, different things like that, that at least the ones I've seen. And so I know you were singing. I'm assuming, do you still warm up and keep, you know, it's hard, isn't it?
Uh-huh. I live in a condo. And so even though I teach um, virtually, I don't have to do all the singing. I can, just let off a couple of notes and just demonstrate for the students. But I'm not doing whole songs.
Right.
Um, so it's been kind of hard.
I get
Yeah.
it is. It makes you uncomfortable because you're like, I don't want you listening to me rehearse, you know?
It's like it feels almost claustrophobic, you know.
Yeah.
But then I have to remember that most people, now that it's open back up, a lot of people have gone back to work. So I'm not disturbing them so much. So
Yeah.
I think I
That's
will start doing more warming up and
yeah.
things like that here in
And
the
like
house.
every musician, we all have had lots of irons in the fire. And I'm sure you have other interests. I know of one. You want to share anything else you're doing?
Well, I'll let you hold on to that one. But I have a foundation called Morning Brown that brings culture to cultural deserts. And I have a show called Opera from a sister's point of view. Okay, you got to
Yeah.
lean back on it. It's a show that demystifies opera for audiences that normally wouldn't go. So now that opera companies are searching for more progressive, inclusive performance opportunities and vehicles. Opera from a sister's point of view is getting a resurgence. And I take the show into schools, community setting. Opera companies will have me do the show when I'm engaged with the opera company and I go out and I do an educational outreach for them. I do the show all over, and it's a show that just it shows inclusion in opera, that you can find yourself in opera. Aida is an African opera about warring African nations. Carmen is a Latino X opera. Madame Butterfly and Turandot, those are Asian subject operas. You can find yourself in opera. All you have to do is seek it out and choose your seat and sit down virtually right now.
Right.
So so I'm doing things, creating content for that platform, and then you were mentioning that I have a little on the side business thing that I'm doing masks now. I wish right now I had one of the examples of my masks, but I am definitely doing that. And you can get in touch with me through Facebook or my Instagram account.
Okay, let me put that up. Let me see if I can share it and make sure it's there. Can you see that?
I can see it.
Okay, great. That means everyone else can too.
Yeah. Freddie Maes' daughter is the name of my business. And it's an homage to my mother, who loved everything beautiful. She was an artist herself and an artisan. So she passed down all these beautiful traits to me. And so I just try to give back in that way. But you can definitely make your mask order and other accessories that I have through one of either the Instagram or the Facebook page.
Great, Freddie Mae's daughter. And then I'll put that back up in a minute. I would love, we had talked about this, and you say you do coaching. I just think there's a lot of budding opera singers, or just kids that love to sing. They go to contests. They have big voices, and they would love to spend a few minutes with you.
Yeah.
And that I bet you would arrange if they want to contact you.
Most
Um,
definitely. You can
yeah,
get in touch with me through my email address. It's divasing@me.com. Okay.
there it is again. divasing@me.com. Everything about that's me, 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 me. That's awesome.
And it's singing. Yeah.
Let me tell you, if I was a teacher and I had a student and I could go, you could spend 30 minutes with Angela Brown. You want to sing for her? Wow.
I can
Amazing.
I can
Amazing.
give you some ins and outs and help you bring your best voice forward.
Yes, that's great. That's a great title. Now, would you have any advice for young people that want to do what you do, that want to have a career in music? I know mine that I share is play well with others. It has gotten me a long way. Just be nice, know what you're supposed to do, know your job, and play well with others. Do you have any suggestions that have helped you?
Yes. You have to want to do this even if you don't get paid.
Mm,
Okay? You have to have a passion, a burning sense of yourself and what you want to do. And never let anyone tell you what success is. It's going to look different for everybody. You can be encouraged by me, you can be inspired by me. But, baby, you can't be me. You have to be you. And everybody is not. My mother used to tell me, when I first started singing, let me tell this quick story. When I first started singing and had the success at the Met and everything, and they would have me come and speak to this audience and that audience, and I would always say to the students, you can be anything you want to be. You can even sing on the Metropolitan Opera stage. My mother said, baby, stop lying to them children, because it's not going to be everybody's testimony to sing at the Metropolitan.
mm,
But it doesn't mean that you can't. It just means that it might not be right then. Your Metropolitan Opera stage might be regionally. Your Metropolitan Opera stage might just be in America. Your Metropolitan Opera stage might be at your church home. Never let anyone tell you what success is going to look like. Because, baby, if you want it, you can do it. But just know, right now, you got to stay in your lane until you learn the lane, and then you can branch out.
oh, fabulous. Fabulous. There is nothing else to say. I want to leave it at that. That is words, wise words for everybody. That's fantastic. You are a ray of sunshine. I adore you. I can't wait to see you in person again sometime, somewhere.
Yes. Tomorrow morning on coffee.
Oh, yes, yes. We'll see you there for sure. Angela, thank you so much. I know that whoever watches this, and I hope many do, are going to learn there's so many takeaways from it, and it's been very inspiring. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for presenting me on your platform. God bless you. Stay healthy, stay safe. Wear your mask. Wear the dang mask.
And buy one from her.
Yes.
Bye. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Take care.